Hello people, welcome to the video. Now then, I didn't put a haul video out last week because it was absolutely dismal. So my first sourcing trip last week, which I'm included in this week's because it's just a bit abysmal again, I got to the car boot and then 20 minutes later, rain. It was forecast at about 17%. With nothing on the radar, because I always check. And then as soon as I got there, it was like 85%, and here's a big green cloud which is going to come down and wash you out. So I managed about 20 minutes. By the time people were packing away and everything, it wasn't worth the effort anymore. So what I did get, the first few minutes before it rained, was I got 25 now double albums. The lady was looking at them and I said to her, how much do you want for them? 20 pence each. So I picked out 25, I picked out all the now albums, and actually there's a couple of other albums as well. And there was a couple of now albums which were broken or had one disc in, so I left those. And she said to me, do you want the rest of the box as well? I'm like, no. There's nothing in there for me now. I've taken everything I want. How much do you want for them? And I said, there's 25. And I'm like fishing out for a fiver. And she says, how about £2.50? I'm like, yeah, okay. So 10 pence each for that. Should go for, I don't know what they go for these days, but at least £1 each in bundles. I'm hoping to do complete 10s. None of them are a run of 10 items, which is a bit of a pain. But yeah, I think I'll bundle them up. I've got some more upstairs that I paid over 50 pence each for. But on average, it'll come to about 30 pence or something like that. Yeah, so in the charity stall that was that's on the way in and out, 50 DVDRs, blank obviously. They were £2. And then my next purchase was a G-Tech Air Ram, straight on, which is one of these. I'm sure you've seen one before. It was in a clearance guy's, taken out the back of the van. As soon as he put it down, I said, how much is it? And he said a £5. I'm like, excellent. Have you got the charger? And he's like, no. I'm like, oh, I want 3 then. And they said, yeah, all right then, £3. So yeah, I won't show you it running because I've already sold the battery. Battery got £18 plus delivery. So that was nice. And you can sell the dustpan, this bit here, lifts off. There's a filter in it, and then there's a tray, like clear tray. Well, that assembly sells, that assembly alone sells for like 15. I've actually sold loads of bits off one of these before. You can actually sell the handle. There you go, the handle on its own, once you can take it apart. You can sell the switch gear, but quite honestly, it's just not worth it. You can, if you can get it out. The last 2 I've had have been in this state, quite worn, and the screws are very tight and can't be got out. The first one I got, I stripped it right down and I got the motor out and I sold the motor as well. But you can't just sell the rest chassis, get your own motor out. It needs to be out, cleaned and tested. Well, I know this one's working because it was running before I sold the battery. But obviously, the battery had a nice charge in it, but it wasn't going to last forever without a charger. I previously sold the charger, the handle, the battery, the motor, even the dustpan, and even the brushes of a decent one that I got first time. That was £3. Then there was a camcorder, which is, I looked around to try and find the brand and there isn't one. And the lady wanted a £5 for it, and I'm like, it's unbranded. I'll have a look at it. So I had a look through it and it's nice and clean, tidy. It turns on. There you go. Welcome. Upside down, of course, because it's the right way up now. Nice enough. Unbranded though. So it's never going to be worth much. So anyway, will it turn itself off? Yes. Right. Let me just turn it off. Bye bye. Right, but it did have a SanDisk 32 gig hard drive, SD card. And so that was its saving grace. She wanted a £5. I said to her, would you take 3? And she's like, I'll take 4. And I'm like, okay. With it being unbranded, I don't see it fetching a lot, you know, but it's got that card with it. And the cards are going to be worth, I don't know what they're worth these days, a £5. Actually, I think you can get a 64 gig for about 7 or 8. So I wouldn't buy a 32 gig SD card myself anymore. I'd just get the little really small ones. But yeah, £4 it was fine. I got 2 film cameras for a £5. This one's, I've just put batteries in actually, and it's working fine. And it's, can you hear that? Sounds like my tinnitus. So yeah, it flashes, it winds on, it's all right. It's a Konica C35 EFP. It's a fixed focus, so it's not going to be worth much, but it is 35mm. And I got a Minolta, which is really nice looking, hardly used, slide out front. It's got a zoom lens. I haven't put batteries in it because it's an APS. I will battery test it, but APS camera, we're talking collector's editions these days. It's got a date back. Maybe somebody in the Lomo crowd would be getting the APS films second hand. They stopped producing them in about 2010. But it cost me £2.50, and somebody recently sold one for 20 quid. So anywhere from 15 to 20 quid would be most welcome for a camera the way you can't get the film anymore. The last pickup for last Sunday was a Humax FreeSat White. I've just tested it. Really nice. I didn't think it wouldn't work. They're pretty much, you know, if they're not all cracked, then, you know, it's not going to damage the hard drive, dropping them a little bit. They're designed to last, you know. The only thing with it is that the remote is missing its back, missing its front. It does work, but it's all like worn, so you can't read any of the lettering. So I'm going to be looking for a new remote for it, without spending 15, 16 quid, because that's what they are. For the white ones, it might be even 20 quid. I think somebody's got one up for 24 quid, which is absolutely ridiculous. But the two together are going for 115, 110. The last one, the black one, I sold for £109 plus delivery. So, yeah. And that cost me £4. So there is room to get a new remote, you know, and still make a really nice margin. So that's all of Sunday, because as I said, 20 minutes into buying, it poured down. I haven't been very lucky with my car boots recently, because the next Wednesday was pretty much similar. So that was the Sunday before the one that's just gone. Last Sunday, if you like. Obviously, last Sunday was really a day ago. But the one before that was what those pickups were. Now I'm moving on to Wednesday, which was, again, disappointing. It's a small car boot on a Wednesday in Hull, and within about 20 minutes of me getting there, it started drizzling. So I just got back in my car, I spent £12 in total, but I got some halfway decent gear, and I'll show you it. I got a desktop calculator. This is a Vatman. Vatman Super Video Sprint even. And you type your numbers in, you press your button and it prints. Unfortunately, I don't have the roll for that, or the ink. But it is made in Japan. It's Decimo, which is, I think it's an Italian brand actually, but I'm not certain of that. Anyway, that was £3, and I wouldn't have paid that for it unless I'd looked it up. And I had it, the guy quoted me £3, I stood there, I looked it up, and they're going for 15 to 25. So yeah, why not, you know? Right, so I also got a lamp. It's opposable any way you like, basically. Very heavy. They've got concrete in the base of these, you know. It's like a steel case, and then they pour concrete in the base, and then they put another piece of steel on the bottom and a plastic cover. It's pack tested from the end of April this year, which is it's just a month really, and it had a bulb in already, and that cost me £2 from a clearance guy. Yeah, I was pleased with that. He's the guy I normally get my hi-fi bits from, but although he did have a nice hi-fi, he wanted too much for it, considering that the speakers were a bit ratty. A couple of little holes in the grill, and the main case didn't look that good. So he wanted 25 for that hi-fi, and I decided against it. So what else was there? Yes, I went along and I saw these, and you know, I bought a load of other prints recently and sold a nice photographic print in these type of wood with gold frames that people have framed up. These aren't as professionally done on the back, but they're nice frames, and somebody's gone to a lot of effort to frame these. These are cut out of a book by the look of it. They're sort of sepia prints, but not photographic quality. They're on paper. So that one's in French, and it's something about some French girl standing there yawning. Brittany, I suppose. And then there's some more French ones. And then there's the obligatory Whitby ones. Fisher folks outside their houses in Whitby. Frank Meadow, I can't remember his name. Frank Meadows, or Frank Meadows Sutcliffe. That was it. Frank Meadows Sutcliffe. That one. And then there's one that looks like some more French people. Costumes Breton. So French bulls people in their costumes. And then there's another Frank Meadows Sutcliffe, which is a nice one actually. Little girl with her, I don't know, dad or granddad, with his Victorian pipe. Then another Frank Meadows Sutcliffe. And then this one doesn't say, but it's in better quality photographically than the others. And that lot were just starting to get wet when it started raining. There was water on the surface of them. And I thought to myself, oh, shall I bother? Because, you know, it might get in and get into the paper. And it did get in, but only onto the mounts, just around the edges. On about 3 of them. There's 7 there. I held them up to the guy, and he says, £2? I'm like, yeah, definitely. £2 it is. So I put them in my bag, and then I looked further along his stall, and he had all sorts of stuff that was quite interesting to me. So I set a bundle out of stuff. After I bought those for £2, I'd given him the money, and then I noticed he had a box with some video games in. So I said to him, how much are the video games? He says about 50p each. So I had a look, and I got this lot. And there's 11 Xbox 360 games. They've not all got manuals, but most of them. And they're all pretty good quality discs. I've already tested a few of them. I've got about 5 or 6 more to test. So there was 11 video games that came to £5.50 and a controller. And I was thinking maybe £3 or £4 for that. So I was up to a tenner. And then I saw this Camping Gas Super Blu-Ray. In fact, it's got, well, I'll show you. It's in good nick, this one, except it's a bit dented at the back. There we go, it's got the wind cover, it's got a base, which that's a base plate if we put it on. These are your wind covers, door and front. I have no idea what that is. You've got the grill version, sorry, there you go, Super Blu-ray. You've got the grill version, and sorry, not grill, cooking stove, and then you've got a spare one of these. Well, what I've always done was photograph them with those and then say I will not be including the canisters as it's against regulation. And I think like sending batteries is against regulation, but I honestly believe sending those is illegal. I'm not certain of that. Without a license, you know, one of them like sort of square triangular licenses that you can put on the outside of whatever container. I mean, people send all sorts of spray cans and perfumes and stuff in the mail all the time, and they just lie. But quite honestly, I wouldn't want, you know, a van to go up when you had 2 of those in the back and they'd leaked or something. So I won't be sending them. Yeah. Anyway, I held this lot up and I put all those discs on top of that Super Blu-ray. I said, how much? And he was like, I don't know, 7? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I would have spent more time digging around his stuff at those prices, except it started to really rain then. So that was all I got on a Wednesday. And I spent £12 there. Oh, I didn't say how much I spent on the previous Sunday, did I? It was only £22.50. So that was, up to now, £34.50 for the week. Not particularly good. And that was Sunday and Wednesday last week. Pretty sad. But not bad stuff, if you must agree. Right, I'm going to clear the table off and I'll start with this Sunday's, because I did get some decent stuff, but it's all over the place and I need to get it all together before I show you it. Right, I'm back. I've rearranged the table and I'll crack straight on because there was a proper day's purchases on this Sunday. I didn't spend a fortune, but what I got was nice. Well, nice for me. Very along the lines of what I got a couple of weeks ago, mind you. So, we'll crack straight in. One of the first purchases I got was this little tape recorder. It's a radio as well, radio cassette Crown, £3, was working, batteries in it, fine. It's got earphones, they're over there somewhere, but I'm really not keen on somebody else's earphones. When they're earbuds and you're pushing them in, quite nice for £3. And it's, as I say, working. I'll just put that over the side. Give me a bit of space. Right. Next I saw this PlayStation 2 fat, and it had a load of discs next to it, and I didn't know whether they were selling them as a bundle or separately. So I said to him, how much is the PlayStation 2? It's quite dirty. It needs a right, I mean, seriously, if I was to use this, I have used it to test it, it's working fine. I wouldn't want to use it for long, because there's, well, you can see, it's very brown and dusty around all the vents. You can get a vacuum cleaner and suck it out, but quite honestly, if I'm going to be selling this for 50 quid, I will, it's already been opened once, I will whip the feet off, open the box up, and clean it inside. But what I have been looking for one of these for is to use as a card reader one. But saying that, that black one I got for a fortnight ago, with the bad laser, I'll probably use that, because you can now get a card that fits in a memory card slot like that, and you can put 128 gigabyte card in with all your PS2 games on it. I bought the PS4 fat. Now then, there's this. There's a controller. There was also this controller visible. This is a PS1 controller. It's a DualShock, not a DualShock 2. And this is a nice, clean example. So anyway, I said to him, how much? And he says, like, 25. I'm like, really? Yeah, he says, the controllers are worth that much now. And I'm like, oh, he knows his stuff. And I said to him, all the games included, because you haven't seen the games yet, because they're off to one side here. So what there was, there's 20 odd games. I've tested a few when I put this on, only for a couple of minutes each to make sure they're loaded. I didn't want to stress the machine too much until I've cleaned it, quite honestly. And then there was 20 odd disc onlys as well. And the machine's got 2 memory cards, so it's pretty good. It's got its wires. And I'm like, oh, 25. And he's like, yeah, a woman's been by and offered me 40 for that and the Wii. I'm like, I don't see a Wii. Oh yeah, it's just down there. Okay then. So he's got this sort of, well, similar to that. That's got the PS2 wires in, and a couple of other little things. And it's folded over. There is one of these behind it. So, you know, it does give the game away eventually once you've seen it. But it was like sort of tucked around the back of his picnic table. And I'm like, you're not going to sell it down there. But that was all right, because he told me about it. And he said, yeah, the woman's offered me 40, but I was holding out for 45. And she's coming back later. I'm like, yeah, all right. She's probably gone home by now. Unless it was like 5 minutes ago. I don't think it was. So I looked at some of these games, and he's got Grand Theft Auto, Vice City. Now, I know I've said in the past, I'm not going to go on about the different games, and I'll just say there was as many games, but it did have a bearing on whether it was worth me while buying it. So there's Tokyo Extreme Racer, Age of Empires 2, those are both £10 plus games. Midway Arcade Treasures, 3 Football Manager games, and they hold their value. Crazy Taxi, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and some basic stuff. Lord of the Rings, Medal of Honor, you know, Rogue Ops. So there was the value for the whole thing in the video games. So I thought, yeah, it seems reasonable, 25. So anyway, I said, do you mind if I look at your Wii? So he's like, yeah, go for it. And I'm like, I opened the bag and I didn't want to go too far into it. I could see it was a black Wii. And I could see there was at least one controller. And I always thought there was only one controller. And I said to him, is it just the one controller? And he's like, oh no, there's two in there. Go have a fish about. And I'm like, there's loads of wires in the way and there's video games in the way. So anyway, I started fishing through the video games that were in the way, and they're all like upside down in the back. Wii Sports, Wii Sports Resort, manual for the balance board, Mario Kart. So, Need for Speed Undercover, Just Dance, FIFA and Wii Fit Plus to go with the board. And I'm thinking, well, it's got Mario Kart, it's going to be worth 20 quid. Plus there was a proper branded Wii handle. So I said to him, I mean, between them, these go for 15. I said to him, would you do 40 for the two? Well, that's a fair price and I'll just give you the money now. And he's like, oh, I was looking for 45 off this woman. I said, yeah, but she might not come back. Here's 40 quid. I just handed him 40 quid and I just waited. And he said, oh, all right then. Anyway, I looked through the bag once I got back to the car, and there is two controllers. They've both got their rubber covers, and I've tested them, they work. They've both got nunchucks, two nunchucks. There's Wii Sports Resort there, and they've got the long rubber covers with the Motion Plus adapters. Checked them both, they both work as well. And then there was a load of this plastic stuff for when you're doing Wii Sports. Baseball, tennis, golf. And a stand. That lot cost me 40 for all the video games, which is comes to about 50 video games there for the PS2 and the controllers. And as I've already listed this one for 15, and that's not an unreasonable price for a PS1 controller in good nick. It's really good nick, that. And then I spied this on the stall and said, will you throw that in? He's like, oh, all right then. Top Trumps, World Football Stars. There's a couple of cards missing. I know, it's going to be the best card in there that's missing. So it's not a complete set. I can only sell it as separates. But there could be a couple of good separates in there. Lionel Messi with gold foil on. I don't know whether that makes a difference. So he threw that in. The next purchase was light fitting. It's like quite a thin light fitting, if you like, and it's LED. That wires into the mains through the little hole there, and there's like 24 little LEDs that should diffuse out of that one. It's quite a cheap one compared to the ones I've actually got in the garage already, but for the fact that it's 12 watts, it'll brighten the garage up a lot. I've got 4 in there now. Another 12 watts will make it up to 60 watts in total. When I haven't got my 38 watt photography lamps on. So that, if I put that right above where I take photography, I've already got the lamps from the sides, just brightens it up a little bit. So that was £2, brand new. Obviously just, surface to the guy's requirements. Right, then I got some DVD players, as usual. So I will go and this isn't the order I bought them in. I'm just getting them the ones that are easier. First, I've got a Blu-ray. This is a Panasonic DMP BD77, and it's got audio outputs, video inputs, HDMI, and a LAN, and it does have the internet connected for Netflix and iPlayer, but I don't think there's anything else. But it doesn't have the remote. I've just looked at the remotes. These are $6.50, but this cost me £2, so it's not bad really. $8.50 with a new remote, and my go-to price on things like that is about 30 quid. As you know, because I held up about half a dozen last week going, this one's 30 quid, this one's 30 quid. I watched it back and it seemed really silly, but those are the prices for a Blu-ray. So, yeah. And then I did, oh yeah, I got this one. This is a Sony, just a DVD player. And it's the one with the USB on the front. It's an SR370 as opposed to the 170. Now I said to you, the next one up is like a 270 or whatever. It's not, it's a 370. And it has the USB stick hole. And that's the only difference. It's a SCART on the back. It's got a SCART controller. It's got a remote control. They asked for 5. I said 3. And they accepted it. What it does have, it's got a SCART cable as well, which always worth 50p to me. What it does have, which I was surprised at, is an adapter, which I've seen before, but I've never really taken any notice of. Just put that one down. There. Out of the way. It's got this SCART to HDMI adapter. They obviously had an HDMI TV and they didn't want to buy a new DVD player, so they bought this instead. This has got a plug with a USB adapter, plugs into the plug, sort of electronic board there. SCART goes in the back of it. It comes out as an HDMI signal for your TV. These are about 7 or 8 quid. Well, they're 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, depending on who you buy it from. If you wait a long time from China and you buy it on eBay, you get it for like £8 plus delivery. So I don't know whether I'll be able to sell it. The most I'll ever get is about 3 quid plus delivery. But it might come in handy if I'm testing things and I don't have a TV with a SCART on the back. I specifically bought my TV second hand because it's got a load of, it's a Viera, yeah. Although it was an upgrade size wise, it was a downgrade from the last Panasonic Viera, specifically because the previous one had so many connectivities. It was in the sort of transition phase where they were used to having loads of SCART sockets in the back. There was 3 SCART sockets, about 5 HDMI sockets, some USB adapters, non-digital aerials, digital aerials, and satellite. I was really quite sad when that died, that TV, because literally anything you could think of would just plug straight in the back of it, and there was loads of sockets. This one's only got 3 HDMIs and 1 SCART, but I've got a SCART adapter where you can plug 3 SCARTs in and choose which one you want. So it's not too bad. But I do have to walk around the back of it and step over a load of wires because it's a literal rat's nest of wires in there. There's no rats in there, but I mean, It's a big tangle of wires from all the different consoles and adapters. So I can understand having an adapter. Where was I? Oh yes, another DVD player. Panasonic. This was actually 50 pence because it didn't have a remote. 50 pence from one of the clearance guys. I said to him, does it have a remote? And he says, no. I'm like, oh. He says, you can take it for 50p if you want. I'm like, okay. I'd have paid him 50p for the SCART lead. Anyway, I looked it up when I got back and I've got one in that big pile of ones that I bought. I haven't listed many of them yet. I've listed maybe 3, 4. And this one is the exact right one for this. And of course it works fine because basically nothing goes wrong with these things. Unless people drop it on the floor repeatedly, you know. I'm not talking about the remotes, they're built to take that. I'm talking about the DVD player. So yeah, 50 pence and a free remote. So there's a good margin in that, if you think about it, margin wise. Right, yeah. As I said, there's no real rhyme or reason or order on any of these. Atari Anthology PS2 game. The lady wanted £3. Really? She wanted £3 for every one of the games. Anyway, I offered her £2 for this one because it's absolutely pristine and it's quite a sought after collection. It's like that Midway Games one. Where's that? That's like retro arcade, you know, with like things like, well, it does have quite a lot of shitty games, quite honestly. But it has things like Gauntlet, Defender, Joust, and a load of other ones that are Midway, which isn't a very good arcade brand at all. But quite interested, people are after that. Whereas this one, Atari 2600 games, 85 games on the one disc. 85 games from Atari 2600 days, which let's face it, they're all blobs chasing other blobs. But, you know, you can't really go wrong. So this should be 6 or 7, maybe 8. Cost me £2. Make a few quid. Yeah. Sorry to go on if, as I said to you about video games, but today it had to be video games because that was a lot of what I bought. So I got a Sky voice recorder, not voice recorder, voice remote. I've had these a few times, and as I said to you before, when I bought that Q box, I had one in that I'd bought from China. Well, this one's brand new in the box, never been used. Cost me £2. 10 rewritable DVDs for 50 pence. They're only Tesco branded, but nicely sealed. So that's well worth having, especially when I've got like some DVD rewriters to sell eventually. Also got a camera, one of these 1.3 megapixels cameras, and I've said to you all like, look in the back of them, see if they've got a card. Well, this has. Where is it? Smart media card. It's only an 8 megabyte card, but they're still popular. Not for these, for things like keyboards and MIDI systems. That'll stay in there until I've got batteries in it, tested it, and thrown the camera. The camera will go back on a pile. If you see one of my other videos about cameras going back on a pile, I've got to start a new pile because I've sold them all off. I sold 23 cameras, started them at £11.50, and they went to £17 plus delivery. And it came to 3.7 kilos, so it's £6 delivery. So I got £23 in total. Yeah, always get rid of them, no problem at all, especially starting off at such a low price, 50 pence a camera for digital cameras. But let's face it, who wants them? I don't want them. 1.3 megapixels, and like all the batteries taken out of them. You know, somebody bought them and he was absolutely pleased with them. So it sent me a glowing feedback from the Sturm store that I got this, which is the charity one that I go to every week. I always try and see if I can buy something off them. That was 50 pence. This was 50 pence. This is one of those Sony little speakers, Bluetooth. Just been charging it up, and you can see the little blue light, which means it's pairing. Actually, it is paired with my phone currently. I hope it doesn't turn anything on. Yeah, I've just charged it up this afternoon. It's working fine, and cost 50 pence. Last one I sold for £13. Desperate Housewives, 50 pence. I got this from the same guy as the Goodman's CD player. Yeah. New and sealed for 50p. 23 episodes of the first season. Should sell for, I don't know, 5 or 6 quid. What else is some headphones. Sony. They're not as nice quality. This is one of those during a period of Sony when they were a bit too plasticky. There's no springiness, it's all built into the plastic, and there's no metal in it at all. It's all, the ratchet's plastic, the headphones are plastic, there's no corners and everything. It's quite bulky, and the springiness holds your head, it grips your ears, and the cushioning's not so good. But they cost me 50 pence and it's Sony, and they work. I tested the tape recorder with them. I also tested the Goodman's CD Discman that I showed in my Instagram post earlier on today, and I'll put a picture up here of it, and it's sold already, and I posted it out. That was 50 pence, and actually I think I got it from the same place as this. That was 50 pence and sold for £9.99. As I say, picture up there. Yeah. I think that, apart from the obligatory, I'm afraid, and you're going to roll your eyes again, or some of you will anyway, typewriter. I know, portable typewriters is my thing at the moment, and once you've got your eyes dialed in, they're everywhere, or at least they seem to be. I've sold, what, 3 or 4 up to now this year with good margins, really good margins, and I've got 6 stood there. I showed you some last week. I got a couple during the week, a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, I haven't paid more than £15 for the large one that's going to be worth over 100, and £5 each for the others. So I said to myself, if these are under that price, I'll buy them. So the first one was this. Looks just like a Seiko Silver Reed, and when you open it, it's been made by the same people by the look of it, but it's branded something else. A Brother 100. So it could be made by Brother instead, but you know, look at it. It's basically identical. Instead of saying Silver Reed on the front, it just says Brother 100. Yeah, very nice, tidy, and a couple of little scratches on the metalwork there. There's one there, and there's a bit at the front here. But that'll all clean up so that it's very minor. And this one was £4. £4 for that one. As I say, it's got its plastic cover. And then there's this one. A bit different to what I've usually get, or at least what I've recently been getting. Same sort of thing though. Plastic cover, usual. But this one's an Olympia. That springs up to hold the paper. Olympia Traveller Deluxe. Quite dirty. And this one's made in Yugoslavia by Olympia Werk AG Wilhelmshaven. Wilhelmshaven. There you go. And that does fix in like that. There's a little catch. Yeah, this is a very popular typewriter and should go for more than the Brothers or the Silver Reeds once it's been cleaned up. And it says £6 on it, but it was actually £5.50. I said to him, would you do it for £4 like the other one? And he's like, no. Well, would you do it for £5 then? No. And I'm like, oh, you drive a hard bargain, mate. So we agreed on £5.50. I got a 50p discount for buying 2 typewriters off him. But yeah, I was quite pleased with those. And they were a little bit, I mean, they're cream and white. So those other ones are blue, black, sort of that crinkly green paint that was from the 1940s, 50s. All that paint, by the way, is literally battleship grey with a bit of tinting in. The reason it's battleship grey is because it's battleship paint from surplus after the war. It turns out that typewriter I bought last week was made in Glasgow. Yeah, between 1941 and 1949 and 1951 at some point. It was difficult to me to get the number on the database to be any closer to that. But that's close enough, isn't it? And within a 2-year window. Yeah, Glasgow for the that one. I'll put the name up when I remember. And that is my lot for the day on Sunday. Now I've waffled on, so I'll probably cut some bits out. But I will do some maths as well for what I bought. That was £68 worth. So the whole week, including 2 Sundays, so that's £102.50 for 2 Sundays and a Wednesday, £102.50. So I will put some mathematics down the side like I normally do. Right, that's your lot. I hope you enjoyed the video. Ring the notification bell, tell all your friends, like, share, subscribe. If you want to make a comment on what I bought, you're most welcome to do that. Tell me what you thought was the best item out of the lot. And, you know, or you could say, oh, you're an idiot for buying so many typewriters. That's up to you. Right, I'm going to go and get some tea. It's, bloody hell, it's 9:30.